So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nancy Holmes, the seminar organizer. Welcome to those here and to also those who are viewing this webinar online. This is the fifth in our series of talks on sustainable electronics this semester. We have 75 seminars from the last 5 years that are on a variety of sustainability topics, and they, along with the ones from this semester, are archived on our website, which is www.istc.illinois.edu. We have 2 other seminars scheduled yet for this fall that I hope you'll be able to attend. One is on December 4th, which is the videos and awards ceremony for our International E-Waste Design Competition. And the other one is December 11th, which will be on sustainable secondary aluminum production and recycling. For our seminar today, I want to ask everyone to hold their questions till the end. And we'll also we'll be answering any questions from those online. If you want to type those in, we'll take those at the end also. So I'm very pleased to have with us today Marta Keane, who is the Will County Recycling Specialist. She began her green career in 1988 working for a recycled product manufacturer and is the current president of the Illinois Recycling Association. She held Illinois' first residential electronic recycling event in 1996, working for the city of Naperville, and was involved in the state legislation that now requires the recycling of 17 separate electronics items. She will be presenting information on how Will County has addressed the need to keep electronics out of landfills before the state's ban and since, as well as offering some other information on the county's many other green initiatives that were recognized with the Governor's Sustainability Award. So Marta, thank you for coming today.
Good afternoon. Well, pulling that up. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Will County, but you can go ahead. But Will County, the seat is in Joliet, which of course is a pretty well-known old town and was made famous by the Blues Brothers movie. Do you want to click forward? Oh, I can click it forward? Oh, I didn't. Sorry. Okay. I'm going to learn how to click it. There we go. Excellent. So over the next few minutes here, I'm going to talk about what Will County was like before the ban, our involvement with the Illinois Recycling Association's e-task force, and then our outreach efforts once we knew that the ban was going to come, and all the different folks that we reached out to help inform. So Will County is 849 square miles. It consists of urban, suburban, and rural farmland. In fact, 1/3 of our county is still major agricultural. We have over 200,000 homes, almost 700,000 residents. We encompass 24 townships, and 37 municipalities are fully or partially within Will County. Of those municipalities, 32 of them currently offer curbside recycling service. And then the rural areas still rely on drop-off for recycling of traditional items, bottles, cans. Before the ban, in 2000, we had our very first one-day collection event. Naperville is partially within Will County, and I was working for the city of Naperville actually at that time. The city of Naperville had drop-offs once a year starting in 1996, but it happened to be in DuPage County side of Naperville. So that's the discrepancy. There's 4 permanent sites that we opened as partnership programs with the county in 2007. We reached out to our municipalities and our townships, and we offered them a grant to actually host a collection event, our collection permanent site. In 2009, we had the Illinois e-scrap law that passed. That was also the highest cost year of our program. It was $105,000 for us to have our permanent sites open at that point. And we had grown. We had 5 sites in 2009, and we're growing throughout 2009. In 2010, the manufacturers began to help fund this program, this recycling program, and our costs dropped dramatically. And then in 2011, we were actually offered money for our electronics recyclables, and we, instead of taking revenue, opted to do the very first front door service program in the state of Illinois. We also believe this is the very first front door service program funded by manufacturers in the United States. And it was pretty much an experiment that was worked out between our recycler and the manufacturers to try this. So you can kind of see a map here of Will County and what the containers for the most part look like. Our partners have the option to actually take materials in their own buildings that are existing and will provide the Gaylord boxes, or they can do it in a shed if they choose to build a shed, which one of our partners did due to aesthetics, or we can put a 20-foot container. And at this point, we actually have 2 20-foot containers at some of our busiest sites. We had ribbon cutting ceremonies. This, of course, was great publicity for all of the sites. We started with a 3-year pilot program in April of 2011 for the front door service. Residents can call or email our electronic recycler directly, and the information is on our website. The recycler has up to 4 weeks to get to the home, and they must have a computer, a laptop or tablet will count, a printer, a monitor, or a television. So it has to be one of the biggies. Now, part of the reason it has to be one of the biggies is this pilot was actually created when the first legislation was passed, which was only banning the biggie items and not banning all 17. They are allowed to have up to 10 items total, which is still considered a high number, even compared to some other companies that have tried to duplicate some of these services. Will County sent flyers to schools, and we publicized any of our one-day collections this way and some of our other special events, and it was very effective. And then we went to this paperless virtual backpack situation with schools. I don't know how many of you have students, but if you do, you'll know that your schools no longer send you a ream of paper every week with your student. They actually tell you to log on. And if they've gotten really advanced, they've gone so far as to send you an email reminding you of what you should be doing as a parent to help your student be more involved in all the different school activities. I am a big fan of the emails, not so big a fan of the virtual backpack because I just don't remember to go clicking in to my kids' school sites to learn everything. And that is our disadvantage. So now the schools put our information out on the virtual backpacks, and many parents never get a chance to see it because they just don't click through and find it. We have brochures. All of our partner sites, as well as many other non-partner sites, have put the brochures at their locations. So these are at municipal city halls, they're at public works, they're at township buildings, they're at park districts, they're in libraries. If a retailer does ask us for the brochures, we do provide those as well, and we distribute information at all of our events. Then we also have information on a separate website, the Will County Land Use website. And when the stimulus money came, we actually developed a brand new website separate from the land use website that's called willcountygreen.com. And that's where we try to carry all of the information that you would consider green as one place people can go. So there's information you might find on other county websites. There's almost a half a dozen different Will County websites. And then there's also information on nonprofit organizations in our area, as well as other recyclers, things like that. All right. Did I lose my ability to move? There we go. Thanks. All right. So when we were preparing for the ban, this would have been last year, probably around this time actually, one of the things that we did was we advertised it on our website, and then we devoted a page on our website to electronics information. We have a newsletter we send out electronically, and we, of course, put a lot of information in that. We mailed a letter to all of our mayors, all of our township supervisors, and we offered to actually print enough information to put into their utility bills. So if you're familiar with when you get your water bill in the mail, if that comes in an envelope, we offered to put in a brochure. and we would print it and give it to the municipality, and they would end up paying that postage. Not all of our municipalities bill that way. Sometimes they use postcards, and they just put some verbiage on the bottom of their postcard, but a lot of our municipalities did actually take us up on this offer. We also use flyers, brochures, and we did a school newsletter. We have 3 school newsletters a year, and we promoted this a lot in the school newsletter. Our map today that you find on our website of all of our different drop-off sites has grown considerably. We have 13 permanent electronic drop-offs. We have medication drop-offs, about 20 of those. Some of them are with pharmacies. They're small local pharmacies. The big chains don't do this with us. And then we also have police departments that have partnered with us to take back medications. So that's also on there, as well as our traditional drop-offs. And then there's a couple of highlights for 2 locations at our Forest Preserve that take back CFLs. All the Ace Hardware stores and all the Home Depot stores in our area take back the CFLs as well. We don't put those on our map, though. And then we did a really special outreach, and that was to the retailers of electronics. There's literally hundreds of retailers of electronics in Will County. We mailed 425 8.5 by 11 poster designed flyers, if you will. They also included a letter that explained the ban. Part of the legislation includes a requirement that retailers post this information in their stores. We were unable to find a single retail location that posted this information. So we thought, well, if we give it to them, maybe they will. And I wish I could tell you whether they did or not. Unfortunately, we did not have time to follow up and find out. So I don't know, but I'm still hoping that this is posted, at least maybe at the electronics counter. But we did give it all to them. And we also invited all 61 haulers who haul garbage in Will County, whether they haul commercially or residentially, to a meeting at the county building. And we presented information on the ban. We presented the different drop-off opportunities for residents. Businesses are not supposed to use our drop-offs. And then we explained how business materials could also be handled. We asked all of the haulers to please notify their clients. And part of the reason that we went this far is we were aware that the state was notifying landfills and the state was notifying transfer stations. And that was pretty much what the state was doing. Now, landfills will notify the folks who bring garbage to them. You know, transfer stations will do that. But that's not giving them the information to give to their clients. And the clients are our residents and our commercial businesses. And we really wanted the haulers who were going to be the ones saying, no, we can't take this, to have something that let people know they could come to our website and learn where you could get rid of things. And we think that's really important, that you don't just ban an item and have it sitting there out at the curb. Especially a computer that's got personal information. If a person leaves for work, they think the computer is going to get picked up by the garbage company and that'll be the end of it. And they might get home 10 hours later and find that the computer's still there. Or worst case, they get home 10 hours later, the computer's gone, but it's not because the garbage company took it. And we don't want that to happen. And so that's part of the reason that we went to all these lengths. We sent out press releases. And we did a series of newspaper advertisements. We use social media. We just got involved with social media, thanks, again, to the stimulus package. That was something that was not heard of. In fact, we have special permissions for the people involved now at the county who go onto Facebook and Twitter. And I'm actually one of the few people allowed on YouTube. So it's still a big deal. But we think that it's important. Obviously, the vast majority of Fortune 500 companies are devoting time to social media. And if we want to reach our residents, especially in this age where people are not reading the newspapers, using social media is a great way to do it. So at this point, we have 425 fans of our Facebook page. And then our person that we use, called Wilco Green, has 812 friends. And we felt that it was better to have kind of this alias person as opposed to any one of our staff members, because we don't necessarily want people to tie you to what you're posting, and you don't want your personal posts to be tied to the company or, in our case, government that you're working for. So this keeps everything fairly clean. We did a variety of postings and still do on a regular basis about the ban, links on how to get to the state information, as well as what residents and businesses throughout our area can do. All of our Facebook posts are also become tweets. Once in a while we'll do tweets on their own, but we don't go to great lengths to do the little tiny tweets. And then the YouTube outreach. The YouTube outreach started when we decided we wanted to make some commercials. And so at this point I have a 30-second commercial that we did with Comcast. It was aired on over a dozen channels, everything from the home improvement type channels to CNN to Oxygen. So we tried to cover a lot of different, is there a way for you to click onto that and get that? We'll see if it works. Now this is available actually on YouTube, and it still doesn't have a lot of hits.
As of January 1, 2012, electronic items are banned from the garbage, but Will County offers a variety of convenient recycling options for you. Drop-off locations throughout the county accept everything from TVs to calculators to holiday string lights. Vintage Tech Recyclers offers front door electronic collection service for free if you have a computer, a mobile, laptop, printer, or television, and all the items are recycled safely, processed locally to the highest state and federal standards. For more info, visit willcountygreen.com. That's willcountygreen.com for all your recycling needs.
We got a number of folks who said that they saw it play. It ran in 4 different zones. It takes 4 zones to cover Will County. And we got some good response from that. We got a lot more hits on our website. Back previous to the new website, when we used to have our materials hidden kind of as part of the land use department, we would get 2,000 hits in a year on our materials. Now we've had over 40,000 hits in the last 2 years on our brand new website. So it's definitely the publicity, using both the electronic ban as part of our publicity efforts as well as other publicity efforts we did just for the website, has worked really, really well. But one of the #1 hits that we see on the website is people coming in, they know the website's name directly, and they click straight to the electronics. So they're coming home and they're finding something, or they realize they have something and they need to get rid of it. When we also did the ban, we increased internal awareness. People are going to call your organization different ways. They might call because they have a property tax question, or they might call because they need a permit. You know, oh wow, I'm here. What's this deal with? And so you want all the people in your organization that take these kinds of calls from the public to be aware of what you're doing. So we made sure that everyone there knew. We made sure the receptionists knew. And we also let our board know. They're out talking to all the movers and shakers. And we want to make sure that they were all well aware of what was going on. And we encouraged everyone to use the website. If you have someone on the phone and they're asking you a question, do you need to transfer it to us? I mean, obviously, if you're busy, sure, that's fine. But if you have the chance and you can just answer the question, people love it when you don't have to transfer them. So we encouraged everyone to just look the information up. We noticed after the ban an 80% increase in the telephone calls to our department. It was huge. It was actually slightly overwhelming. And we have one secretary for our department division, and it was taking quite its toll. Today we do have an actual automated system that answers the line and tells you if you are calling about electronics, be sure to check our website or contact our recycler directly. But if you need to ask us something, stay on the line or hit this number, and then you get to our secretary. So we did eventually overcome that. We had a lot of haulers, despite all of our efforts, simply referring their customers to us rather than answering the question or using our website to answer it themselves. and we've tried to follow up when that happens and make sure that they stop doing that. Because that's part of the reason they have a customer service department. And then after the ban, we continued our partnership with our municipalities, and we expanded it to include park districts. We have one park district in the program now doing both our traditional and our electronic drop-off. We've continued to do one-day collection events. For some reason, even though we have all these permanent sites, even though we have front door service, when you notify people you're having a special event, they suddenly remember they have computers under the bed. I don't know why. And so we still get hundreds of people whenever we have a one-day collection coming out with all of those obsolete electronic items. It has gone down. The participation rate is not as high, but it's still there, and it's still necessary to do that. And then we just continue to promote as many options as we can. We have issues that still remain out there. The cost of service to businesses, costs are very low if you have a high-valued item. An old computer can have platinum in it, certainly gold and other very valuable rare earth metals. The newer computers, the less you're going to see of that. There's still some there. But you know, if it's a high-valued CPU, you're going to find all kinds of folks willing to take it. And they're not necessarily on the EPA's list. And then they're going to charge you to take some of the low-valued items, like the monitors with the leaded glass. And so when it comes to some of the items that are banned, some are higher value, some are lower value, and some of it's age-dependent. So we're concerned that people are definitely using vendors that are reputable, that are certified. You scrap yards, one thing about Will County is we're a delegated county. So the state EPA delegates several of our employees to be agents for them. They have all the authority of the EPA when they go out to investigate illegal burning, dumping, something like that. So if they go to a scrap yard and they see that the scrap yard's been taking electronics, and the scrap yard is not a registered electronics drop-off or recycler, then they've notified the scrap yards they will fine them. And that has seemed to curtail it, at least in Will County. I can't speak for scrap yards outside, and my personal belief is it's still an issue. So we're lucky that we have that kind of relationship. Beyond that, we do a lot of other things that we believe are good sustainable actions, and we were just rewarded with the Sustainability Award a couple of weeks ago, and we're very excited to get that. We have had household hazardous waste collection services in Will County since 1996. The EPA came in and did an event with us. Today, we have usually 5 to 6 events each year. We help fund the permanent household hazardous waste site in Naperville. I don't know how many of you are familiar with household hazardous waste sites. There's 4 permanent sites in the state of Illinois. The very first one was opened up in 1992 as a pilot at the city of Naperville, and it was only open to Naperville residents. In 1995, the Illinois EPA, which was funding all the disposal costs at the site, said, you know, you have to take from anyone in the state because, of course, our funding comes from everyone in the state. And so the city was able to negotiate agreements with DuPage County, later Keane and Will, to help fund that permanent site. And it was needed because they had to expand their storage capacity as well as increase the number of people who worked at the collection because they had so many more people using the site. And people were coming from all over Illinois, although the vast majority were from DuPage. So that site is in DuPage County. After that, one was opened in Rockford. Another one was opened in Chicago on Goose Island, and another one finally opened in Gurnee in Lake County after several tries at different locations. And those are your 4. None of them are close to us here today. And they all have weekly hours of operation. Gurney one is on an appointment basis. So if you have relatives, friends, you just want to go to Great America, and you're thinking, I'll drop off my stuff on the way, call first. But the bottom line is there just aren't enough, and the EPA has ceased funding permanent sites right now. So we really encourage our residents to use the permanent site. Certainly at this time of the year, we do not do one-day collections, but we will resume again in the spring, and we will do 2 or 3 in the spring, and then we will do 2 or 3 in the fall. We have had a couple of municipalities, well, I should say 1 municipality and 1 township, that have come forward and asked us to do one in their jurisdiction on a recurring basis. And of course, as you know, I noted at the beginning how large we are. We try to spread them out and move them around and not put them in the same location from year to year. But because Homer Glen was helping with the cost, a one-day collection can run $25,000, $30,000. So they were handing us some money towards these. We did have it in Homer Glen 3 years in a row, same weekend. And then New Lenox Township, which has become very, very active. They're one of our partners for drop-offs. They had come forward, and they began a really interesting collection event called ShareFest, in which all the churches actually came together to organize. And there's a lot of information if you want to go out there and check into ShareFest. It's a really unique event. And they asked us to do an event for them. We did an event for them, but we couldn't come back and do it again without some funding assistance, and they did come together and give us that this year. So we have two examples of where we were able to use our funds and partner with other local governments in order to provide this service to residents. And we get about 600 cars at one of these events when it's in a more densely populated area of our county. We have tire collection events. We used to have them almost annually when we had the state tire program, if anyone's familiar with that. Whenever you dispose of a tire, you pay $1 to have it recycled. It goes into a fund at the state, and that fund got swept a few years ago at the height of our financial crisis, and it hasn't really been providing that same level of service. So we were able to get some collections for our townships and municipalities that end up picking up the tires along the side of the road. And it was only for abandoned tires. It was not for what their municipal fleets might be generating. And the EPA did come in and help us with that. So they did salvage a little bit of the fund, but nothing for residents. And so this year we actually paid for a one-day collection for the first time in a few years, just completely out of our own funds. And in case you were wondering, our funds come from a landfill, which we own and is operated by Waste Management. We do a book reuse and recycling collection event for 3 days. It's almost every spring now. It's kind of fallen into the best time of the year for the schools and the libraries in the area to clean out their books. And so it's done in partnership with the City of Joliet's Park District at their Nature Center. They give us 2 rooms. We fill the rooms with tables, and then we cover the tables with books, and there's boxes of books underneath the tables, and whatever doesn't get taken at the end of 3 days gets recycled. So hardcover, softcover, magazine collections, encyclopedias that have pretty much gone extinct, all of those things we take. Shoe collection was started out, if you've heard of the Nike shoe collection, we started out doing that kind of a thing. And then we expanded it a couple of years ago to include all textiles. And we're still working on educating people as to what the word textile means. But our favorite way to express it is if you have a sock with a hole in it, recycle it, donate it. Cotton is infinitely recyclable. It takes more pesticides to grow cotton than most anything else. And just like aluminum and glass, it can be recycled over and over and over again. So just because the zipper's broke, just because it's stained, don't throw it away, donate it, and it will be recycled. And so we've partnered with a variety of nonprofit organizations over the years and a for-profit textile recycler in order to encourage more people to participate. And so it's gone well beyond the shoes. And then I mentioned earlier our medication program. So you see our happy pharmacist there in the picture. And it's become very valued. People can get rid of medications now, not by just going to the household hazardous waste collection site, but throughout the year. And they're also allowed to take medications such as narcotics to police departments. And there's really not a fear of prosecution. They have drop boxes. So, you know, if you happen to find something that you think might not be something that should be in your house, you can dispose of it without having to worry about answering 20 questions. So it's a very, very valuable program, and it's been given an opportunity for us to work with our police departments and our pharmacies in a unique way. Our building improvements that we've been able to do started again with a stimulus. We put a green roof on our county building, and we got an award from the Conservation Foundation, and we were very excited, except for the fact that the green roof doesn't really do a lot. It takes about 100 years for it to pay for itself. So it's not that kind of a project as much as it's in the middle of downtown Joliet. So it is helping with the heat island effect. And it is slowing the rainwater coming down off the roof. And although we had no issues with water at that particular site, it serves as an example for sites who may have some flooding issues. And with climate change calling for there to be increased storms and higher volumes of water at any one time, it just made sense for us to do it as an example for the community in hopes that we might spur some businesses to also adopt these. We did a cool roof on another one of our buildings, a very old building, and you can find a lot of details of these projects on our website. We explain what we did and how much it was. We put in 9 inches of insulation in this particular cool roof and then did a reflective roof on it. That particular project was phenomenal. It was cost effective. I think the payback was with less than a year. We put in a tankless water heating system at a nursing home. If any of you are familiar with the nursing homes, they use a lot of energy for water. They have a lot of hot water needs between taking care of patients and feeding their 24/7 facilities. We were using a boiler heating system, which is pretty typical for the age of the building. It's a great system, except in the summertime when you're heating all this water with a boiler and then having to air condition the entire building, which is, of course, large and flat. And so what we did was we put a tankless water heating system in. It was actually written up by one of the national magazines on this kind of information. It was a large system, and it saved us considerable money on air conditioning costs throughout the summer months. And again, going back to the climate change concept, if we are going to see more and more warmer weather, then having something that helps us keep the building cooler easier is going to save us more money as we continue in the future. We had an old elevator system, and we upgraded that and computerized that, and the energy savings there was actually very notable. We did doors, we did windows, we did lights. Everybody does lights. It's the lowest hanging fruit. We continue to do lights. We're doing motion sense detectors and stuff. Mainly we did T8s. We look for opportunities for T5s, but most of it's T8s. We continue to do more and more projects. We just did a partial reflective roof on the same nursing home we did the tankless water heater at. So a number of buildings, and I would certainly refer you to our website if you have any interest in this. We try to document as much as we can on our website to encourage businesses to adopt these behaviors. And then beyond that, we just signed up for the federal Better Buildings Challenge. So we've signed up a number of our buildings for that, and then we're also trying to reach out to the private sector and see if there's ways that we might be able to pull them in. Kohl's, if you've ever shopped Kohl's, they have a announcement that comes on about every 15-20 minutes telling you how they're an Energy Star building, and that is part of the Better Buildings Challenge as well. So there are a lot of a lot of private entities out there that are doing this. I mentioned our landfill earlier. One of the things that we did with the stimulus money is we put an alternative energy plant in at the landfill. The landfill generates methane gas, and it was actually always something that we wanted to do when we first built the landfill, we said we wanted to put in a methane gas recovery system. You have to, by law, flare off the gas. You have to collect it. You don't want it to migrate through the soil. So you have to have some kind of a system in place to do this. But flaring it off is, it's kind of a waste. So basically what we did was we evaluated, and we were well at capacity to do a methane gas recovery for energy. So with Waste Management as our partner, we put in about $8 million. The county itself, $1 million of the federal stimulus dollars. What that means is that because we own the landfill, we own the gas. And we were already going to get paid for the gas, but because we're an investor in the facility, we now will also see some money returning on that investment. The only downside here is the price of natural gas has gone down, which has meant that that our payback will be coming, but not quite as quickly or as high as it was originally projected a couple of years ago. So currently we power 3,000 homes. The landfill continues to grow, and by its capacity that it's currently permitted at, we expect to be able to power 8,000 homes. And once it closes, it will continue to power homes for over a decade. So in conclusion, I haven't mentioned it, visit our website. And we do have a lot of this information on there. We continue to look for more opportunities to green. We passed an energy plan this year, the very first time. We are looking to launch an EV program where we would piggyback on the state's EV program. Right now, public and private entities can get 50% up to a cap to put in an EV station. We're looking at giving you another 50% of your costs, which would mean 25% of the total. So we're hoping to encourage some EV stations going up in Will County. There's a few other things we've got going, possible some solar at a closed landfill site, just a few other things are in the hopper. So, did you have any questions for me?
One thing I noticed regarding cotton, I didn't know you want to recycle cotton, and you said donate it to home.
Anyone that takes clothing back is a potential place to donate it to. But you want to take a careful look. If it's a very small thrift store who's only selling things, they very well may throw something out if you had a hole in it or a broken zipper or stain. But if it's a large company, Salvation Army, Goodwill's partnered with us several times, St. Vincent de Paul, all of these places have trucks that are leaving their facilities on almost a daily, if not a daily basis, filled with things they can't sell here. In America, we have certain standards for clothing. There are parts of our nation that are poor, and the standards might be a little lower, so some of those trucks might go somewhere else here in the United States, but some of those trucks may actually take things to ships and send them elsewhere.
Yeah, we actually donate to the foundations for other families that we mentioned, but every time we donated, we tried to figure out whether it was worth donating.
Yeah.
So anything with the whole guy, put in the trash.
Don't write it off on your taxes, but don't put it in the trash. Just know that they will be marketing it to think of this insulation in a car. Okay, so that sock could very well be insulating a car. It could become a machine shop rag. It can be used for a lot of other things. Polyester also. Soda pop bottles are same plastic as polyester. Most soda pop bottles get made into carpeting. Carpeting can be recycled. It has a shorter life expectancy. It's kind of like paper, where you think of a strand, fiber getting shorter and shorter every time it gets recycled. Same degradation happens with polyester. But yes, even if that old polyester suit from the 70s you've been holding on to, go ahead and donate it. Somebody may never wear it again, but it could be recycled.
From our online viewers, what other e-cyclists do you work with in the Chicago area other than Vintage Tech?
Well, we keep a list on our website, and we will also give you a click through to the EPA site So we send out requests for reports. The list is pretty long. So I would definitely say check our website, and you will find, if you look under the Green Guide tab, under the Green Guide database, and you look under electronics, all the different electronic recyclers that we know of that service Will County that are listed by the EPA as legitimate recyclers are on that website.
As far as the invoice, how far have we gone to say the final price for the material?
How far have we gone?
Yes, so I know what happens at the very end of the pipeline.
Oh, well, the one thing I can tell you is the recycler that we use, Vintage Tech, is rather unique in as much as they were one of the very first businesses in the United States to get their R2 certification. I believe they have their E-Steward certification. They were meeting with the people who were proposing that the R2 back before it actually got finalized, so that they were already getting their processes in place. They have more inspections in a year from manufacturers and certification companies than we would ever dream of giving to someone operating a landfill or a transfer station in our county. It's amazing to me. I always correct them when they're saying, we had 37 inspections this last year. And I said, please don't say we did it. It wasn't the government. So we have not taken it to that length because we've felt assured through that certification that they've earned and the people that are funding our program. So when Sony is funding our program and Sony's inspectors have come through and actually followed the path, we feel that that's actually taking care of us having to go to any expense to do that.
And incidentally, just a point for folks under the Vintage Tech is
For those who didn't hear that, so that's Vintage Tech does Champaign counties. And it's not to say they're the only R2 certified electronic recycler. I'm not trying to do a commercial for them. But they have grown tremendously. They started out as a very small company about 7 or 8 years ago with 2 people, and they now employ over 155. They were recognized by the governor, and they were also recently the launch site for the federal EPA's Electronics Challenge, and that was because the EPA felt that they were very transparent in everything that they do. I know that they themselves have traveled the globe to find out where everything goes and how it's getting broken down and making sure that it's not going to countries it's not allowed to go to or being misused in some manner. That helps.
Are there one in the future to consider all the other waste that's going to the landfill to be used for energy production? Like municipal solid waste, being incinerated or gasified or anything like that?
Will County has not looked into at any length the gasification concept. I know that Lake County has been doing research in that regard. I don't think that it's out of the question in the future for us to be looking at that. Right now, for us to have the energy, the methane gas being used as an alternative energy, we had to have ComEd come in and put in the lines to do that, which was quite a daunting process as well as an expensive one. So in the future, one of the things that we do have is looking at a cap that's actually solar cells. So rather than doing the clay and the soil and the bushes and grass and the ski slope or the golf course, we were actually looking at the southern faces of the landfill having a solar cap cover. So we would continue to produce energy. But certainly as gasification comes along, if there's a way to mine the landfill for things, that might be something that we would do in the future.
Okay, well, let's thank Marta.
Thank you.
To everyone who was viewing online today, we appreciate your interest in our seminar series, and to all of